you have no conflict resolution skills. And because of that, among other things, I don't trust what your opinion is on Israel-Palestine. If you don't see the value in this conversation between an Israeli American and a Lebanese American, between a Jewish person and a Muslim on the topic of Israel-Palestine, you don't fucking know anything. So I already did a video on ContraPoints' statement. Parker, I know you're going to love this, so make sure you stick around. I really wanted to show Ethan and AB having a civil back and forth with each other while not agreeing with each other. Because to me, that section was really important. It was like a really important moment, and I just wanted to highlight it and watch it again, because there were times when I was worried that Ethan would, like, say stuff quickly and not really think about it, but they were both very respectful, very civil, and they were able to just agree on some things and disagree on other things. And I thought it was very instructive to the way that people that are both on the left should be able to talk to each other. So here we go.
I think the main thing for me was just the point she made about the videos and photos, and maybe she didn't mean it in this way. Of course, people do use it in ways that cause people to get.
Parker, don't be a pussy. You should stay and watch and learn something. They always leave when the information's coming, All right, let's get back to this. This is much more important than a little wussy in chat who doesn't like to learn new things.
The videos and photos, and maybe she didn't mean it in this way. Of course, people do use it in ways that cause people to get riled up, but I do think, moreover, the purpose is to spread awareness, and a lot of people gave their lives for some of that footage, so I do think it is impactful. And again, I don't think she was probably just talking about it in a different way, but
do you hear that? Giving her the benefit of the doubt. Even though he disagrees with the way she said it, he's understanding of the fact that she probably did not mean it that way, right? We're going into this with goodwill. Yeah, and I agree. He does have a good point. I don't think that was necessary for her to include in there. I understand what she meant, just like AB is saying. Like, I understand that she meant that it was not about the videos and the images. It was the fact that there was no outlet for the rage that created. They were not being pointed toward a productive way to fight back, to resist, to help, right? It was just an onslaught of the footage that, yes, Palestinians wanted to be shared, but no one seemed to be taking that next step of like, okay, this is going to cause people to be very angry and feel a lot of despair. How can we channel that very powerful emotion into action, into something concrete that these people can do? And because that wasn't done, not that it was intentionally not done, but people were just panicking. They wanted to make sure everything got seen, and they thought that just doing that would be helpful, right? Minimize harm. Someone was here last night. But what ended up happening is because there was no productive outlet for these people who were just desperate to help, we started attacking each other and picking apart each other's opinions on this and blaming each other and vilifying each other. Because in that sense, we had some kind of, it felt like we had some control. It felt like we were making an impact, even if it was a negative impact on a stranger we'd never met, I absolutely loved this back and forth between Ethan and AB. This is how we need to have discussions regarding the conflict. 1,000%. And this isn't, right? This isn't a super hardcore pro-Israel person versus someone who's pro-Palestine and anti-genocide. These people are both anti-genocide, both want a free Palestine, but they have different experiences, different backgrounds, different connections to this part of the world. So they come at this from slightly different ways. And it's very easy to activate one another because of that, right? And I think that they handled this. They navigated this so well. So let's rewind just a little bit.
You know, I disagree with you saying this rather than you're a piece of human garbage. You're Netanyahu. Like, you know, again, if you really want to do something for the movement and express how you feel rather than just, you know, attacking to show your purity, like with Mike from PA, he's calling her human garbage. I don't know.
That's not helpful, right? I mean, Country Boys is not pro-genocide. Like, there's no way to spin that.
Yeah.
There's no...
Cheddar Salty Balls Urchin. Love the name, by the way. I think they don't share their whole opinion because they're afraid of Ethan's judgment. I think that this section is an example of AB sharing his opinion. Also, can you hear the purring? Can y'all hear that? So yeah, I think that AB is sharing his opinion here. He's holding back, in my opinion. Maybe he is. And maybe Ethan's holding back. There were moments where it feels like both of them are holding back, and maybe that is okay. Maybe to have a conversation where you find common ground with each other and middle ground means you aren't saying the most extreme things you believe. And I don't mean extreme as in like harmful or anything, but like if I'm talking to someone who disagrees with me about the police, I'm not going to immediately say, we need to defund the police, even though that's 100% what I believe, right? Like, you gotta meet people where they are and find that common ground, and then you can build something. You know what I mean? I think the internet, and let me do this so you guys can really see this cat, because he is adorable. Oh, you sleepy baby. This is my little sleepy baby. Oh, you just want to sleep? You don't want to see anybody? Okay. I think the internet has made us think that if we are not being 100% authentic and honest and sharing our full opinion all the time, then we are somehow a traitor. But if you've ever been in an environment where you don't fully agree with people in real life, like in person, face to face, the conversations are very, very different. And that's okay. Like, it's good to have a place where you can share your full opinion, right? And agree with people and make change. But if you're interested in convincing other people of your opinion, of persuading people to think differently, you have to do the work of compromise. And sometimes that compromise is the language you use, you know? When October 7th happened, I knew tensions would rise between Hassan and Ethan. You're totally right. I mean, that was, yeah. What I didn't see is how it's affecting Lena and AB. Yeah, unfortunately, like, from what I've been seeing, Lena and AB have been attacked by, according to AB, both sides. Like, oh, you're not supporting Ethan enough, which I think is a ridiculous thing to say. And then Hassan's side saying that they're like Muslim Uncle Toms, which, first of all, you do not get to use that term. That is a term for Black Americans to use and nobody else. They're in a very tough position for sure. Yep, the house slave thing too. This is not a black cat. This is a widow tabby with beautiful white eyeliner, but he just wants to be held. So yeah, you just go to sleep, Papa. Race traders and all that. Yeah, and it was like white people doing it to them. So yes, I think that they were put in a tough spot by a lot of parasocial people that, again, just wanted to make a difference, wanted to make an impact somehow. So they thought if they could convince AB to yell at Ethan, insult Ethan, to leave his job, that they will somehow have had an impact on what's happening in Palestine, right? And it's just not true. It might feel good in the moment, but it's not changing or helping anything. Okay, I put you down, you little baby. You can just stay right there if you want. There's a reason they're staying with the guy who actually cares and looks after them. Yeah.
A way to spin that. Like, she's on your side. But my thing is, like, I read her statement and I genuinely, I inquired. I put out a story that nobody seemed to respond to. I said, what is the conditional support that you claim she's offering them in that statement? Because I didn't see any of it.
So that's how he feels. And now Ethan's going to clarify a little bit. I mean, AB's going to clarify.
I didn't see it at all.
I think the main thing for me was just the point she made about the videos and photos, and you know, maybe she didn't mean it in this way. Of course, people do use it in ways that cause people to get riled up, but I do think, moreover, the purpose is to spread awareness, and you know, a lot of people.
I agree with that. I don't think that the riling people up was intentional, but that was the result because there was no outlet, which is what ContraPoint said.
People gave their lives for some of that footage, so I do think it is impactful. And again, I don't think she was probably just talking about it in a different way, but yeah.
I know what you mean. I also know what she means.
I know what you mean. I know what she means. They're navigating this carefully. This is what real human interaction is, and I think that gets lost in the internet, right? Where everything is like turned up to 11.
There are people that share it cynically, I feel like, and
right, they're both finding things that they agree on. Like, okay, we both agree that maybe there are some opportunists, right?
Obviously,
yeah,
like most people are sharing this out of genuine concern, right?
Right, and he says, I agree with you. Most people are sharing out of genuine concern.
And I agree with, you know, also, like, again, it is an excuse for a lot of actual, like, anti-Semitic people to come out of hiding and, you know, be anti-Semitic.
Right. So now AB is not conceding, but he's expanding and saying, like, you agree with me on this. I agree with you that it's also being used by anti-Semitic hitchhikers, right? As we know, the cause is being done.
Like, I agree with that as well. You know, both are true.
But
But this is what, and someone, was it Lana? This is how normal adults talk about a somewhat challenging topic. This is why I hate when people say that this is not a complicated topic. That is how I know that you are fucking immature and you don't know anything. When you say that this is not a complicated topic. You say that because you have never tried to navigate a gray area with people, right? Or you've never tried to find common ground with someone that you don't fully understand, right? Or maybe you don't respect their opinion. This is what it sounds like to talk about something that's complicated. It's not necessarily complicated because, oh, genocide is complicated and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. It's complicated because people have fucking feelings. People have feelings. People are tied to this region of the world in different ways, right? People are raised believing different things. That's what makes it complicated, the human aspect of it.
Totally, I think I agree with you. The way that
Hi,
came
trees.
off, she could have worded better. It came off as a little callous.
And now Ethan concedes, you're right, AB. That was a little callous of her, right? We're finding common ground. We're agreeing. We're exchanging, right? We're learning things. We're talking to each other.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I just think that was beautiful. It was a tricky moment, right? AB had the courage to speak up to his boss, which isn't always easy, right? And Ethan, who a lot of times is very fiery, especially about this topic because of how personal it has gotten and how much harassment he's gotten, he kept his cool and they both listened to each other, right? That is a real conversation. And anyone that's saying that this is in some way not the way to do it, like you have never, you have no conflict resolution skills. And because of that, among other things, I don't trust what your opinion is on Israel-Palestine. if you don't see the value in this conversation between an Israeli American and a Lebanese American, between a Jewish person and a Muslim on the topic of Israel-Palestine, you don't fucking know anything. This kind of conversation is not happening in Hassan's spaces, in the Orbiter's spaces, right? This kind of conversation isn't for everyone, right? Not everyone wants to spend the emotional labor doing this as a Muslim or a Jewish person. But it is still important that it is done. It is still important that people do it. There's an analogy about activism. That activism is like a highway. There are a lot of lanes. You don't have to be in all the lanes. You actually can't be in all the lanes, right? But all the lanes are important. And this lane of having difficult, challenging, sensitive conversations with people who have a different lived experience than you is hugely important to actually reaching peace. It's not paying lip service. It's not performative or virtue signaling or any of the other shitty, thought-terminating cliches you're going to hear from the snarkers on this conversation, because you know they're going to blow it up. This is like a building block, a foundational piece of negotiation, of conflict resolution, of actually finding sustainable peace, is practicing these conversations on things that have lower stakes, right? Ethan and AB know to be sensitive about this serious topic. Was thinking of watching Hassan on the Majority Report. Maybe there'd be good conversation there, but my time is valuable. I mean, if you like that kind of thing, go for it, right? Or just catch the clips after. So yeah, I think this was very instructive. Like, I think this was a great example of give and take, and finding common ground and conceding and, listening to each other and learning from each other and being open to saying, oh, you know what? I agree with you on that. Or I was wrong about that. Or, maybe I didn't give them enough credit or enough benefit of the doubt. You're right about that. Or maybe I wasn't seeing it from this way. This is shit Hassan does not do, right? And that's why he's so, the only word coming to mind is seductive. Like his version of activism is seductive because it's very black and white. It's very abrupt. It's very forceful. And there's no time, no room to think. So it makes you feel secure. You're like, okay, this guy has it all figured out. And he is going to tell me exactly what I need to say to these people. Turns out everything he's telling you is just insulting the other person and shaming them into agreeing with you, which doesn't work. It simply doesn't work. But it does make people who are underinformed feel like they have some power and control because they're given a vocabulary. They're given a language to use. This also happens in high control groups, also known as cults, where they develop their own vocabulary, right? Superman is also a reporter that did research on topics. That's right. Definitely not that much like Superman after all, buddy. Seeing all the craziness online, I so appreciate the fairness and openness here. That's all I want. I want to create that space because I'm so exhausted of the debate perverts, and all of that other shit that's going on. It's just none of it is of interest to me. And I don't want it. I don't want it in my life. I don't want it in your lives. Just look at all the people that Hassan associates himself with and collaborates with, and look at the communities who he interacts with in streamers like Valkyrie, Pokimane, and Ludwig. I don't know what you mean by that. Superman also interviews himself and presents it as unbiased. Well, I don't understand wanting to be surrounded by hateful and nastiness, because that the hatred is build to them as passion. They're being passionate. That genocide is their red line, and all the means are justified by the ends. That it doesn't matter how we talk to people, how we treat people, because whatever we're doing is in the best interest of, the people of the world. When really, no, it's fucking not. Just like Israel bombing Gaza into the fucking Stone Age is not good for the world, because you're just creating more people who are going to fucking hate Israel and maybe also hate Jews, right? So why do you think treating liberals and progressives like pieces of shit is going to be good for any sort of progress, right? I still struggle to understand Hassan. He never seems happy. I wish I could understand the pain behind the terrible decisions. That is a very compassionate way to think about it. To me, yeah, he does seem unhappy. He seems very uncomfortable, like in his own skin. And that is sad. This is bigger than Hassan, though. Absolutely. It's so easy to gain a following when someone provides simple solutions for very complex problems. Exactly. I mean, we see it on the right all the time. Like, that's literally Trump. Oh, America's a shithole. Everything's bad, and none of us can afford rent, and we're all, we have food insecurity. It's the immigrants. Oh, thank God that's settled. And thank God it's not my fault, right? It's like blame Canada in the South Park movie. We got to blame Canada before someone thinks of blaming us for America's violence problem. Yeah, it's the lack of introspection that is dangerous.